Doug, welcome back to BetMGM tonight. Straight away from me, my man, the fantasy community is really divided on which Green Bay Packers wide receiver steps up most this season. Out of Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Ontavian Wicks, and Matthew Golden, the rookie out of Texas, who do you believe leads the team in across-the-board production this season?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I wish I had a better answer for you, then we'll see what happens. Jaden Reed is kind of the guy who's been there for a couple of years and led all of those statistics that you were talking about last year in his second season out of Michigan State. The unfortunate thing for Packers fans for Jaden Reed is, yes, he still led the team in all of those statistics, but they were also across the board down from his rookie season. So what you saw last year was Jordan Love getting hurt in the first game of the season against Philadelphia. I don't know that he was ever right the entire year, had that knee injury that he was dealing with, missed a couple of games. Malik Willis stepped in and did an amazing job as a backup quarterback that had just been acquired by the Packers. But as far as the wide receivers, just from what I'm seeing in camp, okay, and it's camp, I'm not putting, like a year ago, Bears fans were ready to put Caleb Williams in the Hall of Fame after camp. So take that with a grain of salt. Matthew Golden's looked amazing. He's a little bit undersized. Texas fans know, if you watched him in college the last couple of years, you know what I'm talking about. But he's got amazing hands. He's got speed to burn, and he carries himself like a stud. So I think Matthew Golden's the real deal. I really do.
Doug, 2 years ago, the final 10 games of the season, Jordan Love was a top 5 quarterback. They have the playoff win in Dallas. Some struggles in the second half against the Niners, but that's to be expected because it was pretty much his rookie year. Last year, like he said, he was never fully healthy, and he still threw 25 touchdown passes, 11 picks. You want that number to come down a little bit, but over 3,000 yards. Do you expect this offense to be more of the Jordan Love offense? Obviously, Josh Jacobs isn't going anywhere. They're still going to run the rock. But do you expect maybe the handcuffs to come off a little bit, him to drop back 30, 35 times a game? Because I was looking at his touchdown pass prop. It's only 24.5. Again, last year he wasn't fully healthy. He threw 25. He's getting some MVP love. That number's 25 to 1. What kind of year are you expecting from Jordan Love if he's able to stay fully healthy?
Yeah, I'm looking at more than 25 touchdowns this year for Jordan Love. Again, assuming he stays healthy, assuming that his receivers stay healthy. I think that what you're seeing for the first time really from the tight end position is Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. They were drafted back-to-back 2 years ago in the second and third rounds. Now, Tucker Kraft has emerged as like the TE1, if you will, but Luke Musgrave was hurt all of last year. He had a busted-up ankle. He's healthy for the first time, so I think you're going to see a lot of two tight end sets. If Jordan Love has the weapons and has the health that every team hopes going into the season, I think it's going to be a big year for the offense. You mentioned Josh Jacobs. They're hoping to get Marshawn Lloyd back. He was injured all of his rookie season, or almost all of his rookie season. Had a bit of a scare earlier last week in camp. Doesn't look like that's going to, hamper him too much. So the running game should be there. The offensive line still has a couple of question marks, specifically at left tackle. Is it going to be Rasheed Walker? Is it going to be Anthony Belton, who was their second-round pick? Is it going to be Jordan Morgan, who was their first-round pick a year ago, but who's been getting reps over at right guard? So there's some question marks on the offensive line still, but as far as the skill position players, I think that they have made a couple of upgrades, specifically in the draft with Matthew Golden. They've got a guy in McCole Hardman who's won 3 championship rings with the Kansas City Chiefs, so at least he knows what it's like and had success at Georgia as well, so he knows what it's like to win a championship. I think that's going to be important for a young team. And the one kid that I'm really looking for big things from this year is Savion Williams, day 2 draft pick this year. And he's got speed and size to burn. That's one of the things the Packers don't necessarily have because of Christian Watson's injury. Probably won't see him, although he's looked really good, probably won't see him until October or November at the earliest. So that element is missing. But other than that, as long as everybody stays healthy, at least at the skill position players in Green Bay, I think it could be a big year for Jordan Love.
Yeah, you hit on the tight ends. I know Musgrave's dealing with that groin injury, but hopefully he's healthy for week 1. I'm sorry, Tucker Kraft, that is. And then Musgrave, hopefully he could just stay healthy this year. What about the defensive side of the ball, man? I love the Jeff Hafley hire last year. The defense was obviously much better. I'm a little bit worried about the pass rush. Should be a big year, hopefully, for Van Ness or Rashawn Gary. And then the secondary. I know Nate Hobbs is dealing with an injury already. Are you concerned at all about the defense? Because I know the Packers, they're kind of like a dark horse Super Bowl contender to a lot of people in the betting space. That's my only concern, though, man. Can they generate a pass rush? Saw what the Eagles were able to do in that Super Bowl win against the Chiefs. Can Green Bay's defense finish top 15?
Ooh, well, they're going to have to, because you can't have a terrible defense and go into the playoffs and think you're going to win. And that's what happened. If you want to use history as your guide, coming off a Super Bowl win, their last Super Bowl win in 2010, they were 15-1 and 1 in 2011. They had an amazing offense. It was Aaron Rodgers' first MVP season, first of his 4, but the defense was atrocious. And they got bounced in the first round by the Giants, who wound up eventually winning the Super Bowl. So you have to have a good defense when the playoffs roll around, as everybody knows. I think it was a big year for Lucas Van Ness, because he was a first-round draft choice a couple of years ago, and he hasn't shown out pretty much anything in his time in Green Bay. I think he's going to be pushed by Barron Sorrell, who was a round 4 draft choice this year out of Texas. I think everybody saw, if they were watching the draft, he and Matthew Golden, their lockers, by the way, are next to each other, Texas teammates. And Barron Sorrell was there when Matthew Golden got drafted in Green Bay by the Packers, and Barron stuck around for a couple of days waiting to get drafted, and he wound up getting drafted by the Packers. I think that's going to be a steal of the draft. So Lucas Van Ness is going to be pushed at left defensive end by the rookie, which is good. He needs to be pushed. Rashawn Gary, he's a player who, if you look at his numbers, have been underwhelming, very underwhelming as far as the pass. He's been very good against the run, but you do want to create some more, pass, defense opportunities to affect the passer and to get in there and get home. Kenny Clark is Kenny Clark. He's still going to be great, even though he's entering his 10th season. But there are some question marks in the defensive secondary. Jair Alexander, not there anymore, now a member of the Baltimore Ravens. But he wasn't there much of the last couple of years anyway because of injuries, kind of fell out of favor with the coaching staff. They're trying out Bo Melton, who was a wide receiver at cornerback. He's actually looked pretty good so far. And there's one player that has just stood out like an absolute stud at safety, and that's Omar Brown. He's not going to take Evan Williams' spot. He's not going to take Xavier McKinney's spot. He's been working out at strong safety, and he's been making plays. 3 picks on family night, 5 picks overall so far through the first week and a half of training camp. I think he's going to make this team. He was on the practice squad last year, but he's been showing out as well. So there's some talent there. There's just not a lot of huge names that are on that Packers defensive, front in the starting 11. But if they can be top 15, they're going to give the offensive punchers chance to go deep in the playoffs.
We're talking to Doug Russell right now, a man that knows the Green Bay Packers inside and out. He's sports director, 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee, host of Packers Game Day and Tales for the 1265. Make sure you follow him on X, where he's always giving it to you there, at Doug Russell. Again, on X, at Doug Russell. Doug, you already touched on this. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Josh Jacobs looks to be the Clydesdale once again in this backfield, a guy that earned right around 68, 69% of the opportunity share last year. How do you see the distribution and touches lining up this season? Going to be more of the same? And is Marshawn Lloyd the surefire RB2 on this Packers squad? Of course, it's going to be entirely contingent on whether or not his hamstrings stay intact.
Yeah, that's the big question for Marshawn Lloyd. Like I said, he missed almost all of his rookie season. Went down there being very careful with him in training camp. The coaching staff's really high on Marshawn Lloyd, but Josh Jacobs is the man. There's no, in years past, the Packers tried to convince us that it was RB1 and RB1A when it was Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and that was no, it wasn't. It was Aaron Jones. And if anybody tries to tell you that Josh Jacobs is anything other than a full 3-down back, I mean, he's the guy. They're going to work him hard, and Josh Jacobs wants the rock. Emmanuel Wilson, he went down in practice a couple of days ago as well. It doesn't look like that's too serious. I hope it's not too serious because he's shown some pretty good burst at times, especially in the preseason when he's gotten a few more opportunities. It's not necessarily a deep running backs room, but they do have number 8 in there. And if you've got number 8 and if he can stay healthy, I think you're going to have really a good chance to have a good run-pass balance.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs right now, a guy largely going at the turn in 12-team fantasy drafts and certainly worth the investment. Not a whole lot of competition right now on that roster. Doug, we'll get you out of here on this. The NFC North is in the running for being the most competitive division in the National Football League. What team wins it? And if you say the Chicago Bears, I'll go and Venmo you like 100 large.
I think the Lions are still the best team in the division. I'm interested to see what J.J. McCarthy can do in Minnesota because the quarterback, as we all know, is the most important position in sports. Injured all of last year. It gave him an opportunity to absorb Kevin O'Connell's system. It gave him a chance to learn how to become a professional, which eludes a lot of rookies, not just rookie quarterbacks. The big X factor in Chicago, will Ben Johnson get what he can get out of Caleb Williams? I think the Lions are still the best team in the division. I think the Packers will come in second, probably then Minnesota, then Chicago. Chicago's on the come, though, because I really do think there's a lot of talent with the Bears. I just don't think they're quite ready yet. And the body language of Caleb Williams in camp, and again, it's just camp. I get it. But the body language is just off. And so we'll see what happens. I think it's a very good division. Listen, the Packers went 1-5 in the division last year and still made the playoffs. So that just shows you how good of a division the NFC North is. I do think it, top to bottom, is the most talented division. Does it have the best team in the division or the best team in the NFL? And talk to me after somebody knocks off Philadelphia. But it is top to bottom, I think, the most talented division in football, yes.